Hey everyone. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a quick overview of what we would call budget fountain pens. So first of all, what I'd like to do is thank a Facebook page, in particular the Fountain Pen Network, for giving me this idea. Over there on the Fountain Pen Network, a lot of times we get the question, what's the best pen for the least amount of money? What's the best value on pens going out there? And hopefully this video will help some of our newer members out with figuring out, okay, I'm looking for a budget fountain pen. What do I really want to be looking for? To kind of help this along a little bit, we have to decide what budget means. Now, of course, budget's going to mean a little bit different for everyone. And so what I've tried to do in this video is keep what I think is reasonable in terms of a budget for a fountain pen. And that number that I kind of arbitrarily came up with was $30. So every pen that you're going to see here can be had for under $30 or right at $30 or under. And so what I'm going to try to do is go through these. I'm going to give you a little bit of a writing demonstration. I'm also going to give you a price that is found on Amazon for each of these pens as of January 4th, 2018. So keep in mind those prices can fluctuate a little bit. In fact, they can even fluctuate a little bit when you're talking about the different type of that same kind of pen. So for example, some of these come in different colors. Some colors may cost a little bit more. Some nib sizes may cost a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on what you end up going with. But all of these can be had in one form or another for under $30. Many of them can be found at well under $30. I'm going to go in order from what is often most recommended to perhaps a couple that some of you, especially some of the newer members out there, have not heard of. So I'm going to start with what I would say is probably the most recommended budget fountain pen out there, and it's going to have to be the Pilot Metropolitan. Now this particular one is in black, however these do come in a multitude of different colors. I have a bunch of different colors of the Pilot Metropolitan. My wife actually has stolen a couple of them from me, but these are available in a wide variety of colors. This one happens to be the one that's in black and silver. The Pilot Metropolitan is out of Japan. However, the Pilot name is not new to writing instruments at all. In fact, the Pilot Metropolitan is not even a new fountain pen. These have been around for a little while. This particular one is a fine nib example. However, they do, I believe, come in a variety of different nib sizes. I believe there's at least a medium out there for those who want a slightly better or slightly wider nib rather. Now, I'm no calligrapher by any means. However, you can see that these are quite smooth writing pens. These things do take either a cartridge or a converter, and what's really cool is for the price, you actually get both cartridges and converters when you buy these in the box. They also ship with a very nice box. Unfortunately, I don't have one handy. They do ship with a pretty nice box that includes, again, both the cartridge and the converter. Another nice thing about these is they do take a standard international cartridge. You can buy them all over the place, Amazon and other places like that. And so they're not really hard to get cartridges for if cartridges are the way you decide to go. I will admit that the converter that comes with these is not my favorite. It's like a pinch style converter. It's not my favorite, but it is functional and it will work out for you. Currently, right now, the Pilot Metropolitan on Amazon.com, in fact, the black one itself, right now on Amazon.com is $13.07. However, I will tell you that I have seen these go on sale for $10 and in fact even a little bit under $10. So a very good value, especially like I said, considering that you get both the converter and the cartridge with it. It should be noted at this point, by the way, that I do own all of these fountain pens. Nobody sent me any for free. Nobody gave me a fountain pen or anything. I bought all of these myself. And also, I'm not making any money off of this because I don't sell the fountain pens. So the next one that I like to use is the Parker Jotter. This is an awesome little pen. I end up carrying this one actually to work more than almost any of these other fountain pens that I have out here. I won't take any more expensive fountain pen to work usually, but it's this one and another one that I'll show you in a minute that usually end up getting taken to work. The Parker Jotter. The Parker company, again, is no new name in writing instruments. Parker's been around for a long, long time. Now, there's another Parker fountain pen out there that's really pretty popular I'm going to show you in a minute, but I prefer the Jotter. The Jotter is an awesome little pen. Now, I will say the only kind of annoyance that I find is that this one comes with a medium nib. I tend to be a fine nib person, and I've never found a Parker Jotter with a fine nib. I don't know what the deal with that is. But that aside, it is an awesome little fountain pen, especially for the price. Right now, you can have these for this particular model for $14.44 on Amazon. A couple of things that make this one particularly nice is that it is relatively small. Here's the Pilot Metropolitan in comparison to the Parker Jotter. It is relatively small. However, it is also light. So it is smaller and it's lighter and it's thinner. It's just a little bit more of a compact pen. Carries nicely inside a shirt pocket, like a dress shirt pocket. It also carries nicely inside of a suit pocket because it doesn't weigh it down at all. The body, I'm fairly sure, is a very thin steel, so it is pretty durable as far as fountain pens go as well. A couple of downsides to this. First of all, mine seems to like to leak. Now, that is a sample size of one. I'm sure they're not all the same. Another thing that these pens kind of don't have going for them is they do not ship with a converter. You can, however, buy a converter separately. I'm not quite sure the price on those, but it does also take standard international long cartridges as well. So a very, very solid choice. If you want a good solid pen in that $14, $15 price range, I would definitely recommend the Pilot Jotter. Just, again, keep those kind of detractors in mind a little bit. Another pen, unfortunately, I will not be able to write with it because I forgot to ink it up, is the Parker Vector. Now, I will tell you, when it comes to smoothness in writing, for me, the Parker Vector is not going to win any competitions. It's not the smoothest writing pen that's out there. However, this I have actually found a little bit less in terms of cost than the Parker Jotter. The Parker Vector I have found as low as $10 on Amazon. This particular one is in gold. It also has the metal body, just like the Jotter does. But this one is actually in a fine nib, which is different than the Parker Jotter. Remember I said that on the Parker Jotter, it's kind of an annoyance that I can't find a fine nib Parker Jotter. This one does not seem to write as smoothly as the Jotter does. However, again, it is a fine nib. So again, you can find these around the $10 mark on Amazon. Moving on from the Jotters, I'm going to move to what I consider to be one of my favorite overall companies in fountain pens. This is a company that's been around for a long time, and in fact, many of your vintage fountain pen users, and especially like some of your the older folks that use fountain pens, are going to recognize the name, and that is Sheaffer. I have a series of 3 Sheaffers that I like all 3 of them. Actually, I have more Sheaffers than that, but these are the 3 that are going to fit in that budget range. The first one is the, I don't want to say cheapest because it certainly doesn't feel cheap, but at least expensive Sheaffer out of all of them. This is the Sheaffer VFM. You can find the Sheaffer VFM on Amazon right now for $17.50. Now, this is roughly in the same kind of category, size-wise and everything, as the Pilot Metropolitan. What you'll notice is that the Sheaffer VFM is a little bit smaller than the Pilot Metropolitan. However, I believe that just looking at the two, the Sheaffer VFM was probably kind of designed in that same line of thought as the Pilot Metropolitan. This is their budget line, by the way. The VFM is. However, it is very well built for what it is. Now, I will tell you, I do believe these to be better built than the Pilot Metropolitans. These are extremely smooth riders. I have to say that. They're extremely smooth riders, especially for the price that they are. They're very well built. They are very light. They are built better than the Pilot Metropolitans, in my opinion. Just keep in mind the downsides. First of all, they don't ship with a converter. So you are going to have to buy a separate converter. I believe converters are available for these. You're going to have to buy a separate converter. Mine did not ship with a converter. I do hope that Sheaffer does change that in the not too distant future. They do, however, take standard ink cartridges, and so that is a good thing, I suppose, that you can find those cartridges everywhere. They don't take any kind of proprietary cartridge or anything like that. So these are a very good option for you. If you're looking for that budget line Sheaffer, which is a step up, this is a certainly good option for you. Continuing on with the Sheaffer, we find what is probably my all-time favorite budget pen ever, and it is the Sheaffer 100. The Sheaffer 100 can be found for exactly $20 on Amazon.com right now. I love the Sheaffer so much that I actually have a couple of these. The Sheaffer 100 so much that I have a couple of these. And these are awesome, awesome, awesome pins. Now, keep in mind, they are about twice the price of a Pilot Metropolitan, and they do run about $3 to $5 more than the Sheaffer VFM. However, these are built extremely well. There's a lot more metal on them, and when you hold one of these, you can tell that it is just better built. That being said, it is also an extremely smooth rider. This thing rides very, very smooth. And on top of that, these also, for the extra $3 over the VFM, ship with a converter as well as cartridges. So the converter will allow you to use that bottled ink, whatever ink that you prefer, it will use. I will say that converters in these work extremely well also. So this is the Sheaffer 100. One thing that I do want to point out, because I don't know how much longer they're going to be available, is that the Sheaffer 100 also comes in this wonderful little bamboo design that I picked up, and it's really awesome, and it doesn't cost, I don't believe, any more than the regular ones. So that is the Sheaffer 100. For size comparison, here is the VFM. You can see the Sheaffer 100 is a tiny bit bigger, although not really. It's not bigger enough that you're going to notice the difference. The Sheaffer 100 does weigh a little bit more than the VFM, though. And also, here it is next to the Pilot Metropolitan. The only real downside is that, again, like all fountain pens, the 100 does tend to leak a little bit if you're not careful. But that's not really too big of a deal for me, as long as you keep an eye on it. The last one that I'm going to go over from the Sheaffer line is the largest of the Sheaffers, and that is the Sheaffer 300. This is a huge pin compared to some of the other ones, a very heavy pin also compared to some of the others. It's entirely metal, and if you even compare it to the Sheaffer 100, you can tell it's just bigger. It's bigger, it's beefier, it's bulkier. Put it next to the VFM, and the VFM looks even bigger. To really give you an idea, I'm going to show you the Parker Jotter next to it. You can see that the Sheaffer 300 is a huge pin. However, you can have the Sheaffer 300 right now for $20.92 on Amazon.com. It is a good, what I call, desk rider. So this one tends to stay at my desk fairly often. Another problem that I have with this one is that it is a quite broad nib, which doesn't really do it for me for a lot of my writing purposes. However, it is a smooth rider. It does write very smoothly. It's a very good, like say, desk pen. Now, downside to it, it's heavy. I wouldn't want to carry this. It's a very heavy pen. But that being said, it does also ship with both the cartridge as well as the converter. So if you're in that market for a pen that ships with both, then this one definitely does. I currently have a cartridge in it right now. However, it does come with a converter as well. So that is the Sheaffer 300. Quite large, but still well within that budget price range. If you're not going to carry it, it's a good pen. The next pen that I want to go over is one that kind of has a bit of a cult following, it seems like, in the fountain pen world. And that is the Lamy Safari. Currently, you can have the Lamy Safari on Amazon right now for $24.48 with an exception. This particular one is the Petrol Blue, which I don't understand at all because it's more green than blue. But anyway, this was a special edition for 2017 when I picked this one up. So you can't exactly readily find this particular color. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not too upset about that because it's not my favorite color. It looked better in the pictures. However, you can find other pens that are just like this one, this exact Lamy Safari. You can find them in other colors for $24.48. Now, the one negative for me with the Lamy Safari, and it's going to be strictly opinion, so keep that in mind, is that I think this is the ugliest fountain, one of the ugliest fountain pens that I own. The Pelicano maybe. But anyway, this is one of the ugliest little pens. I'm not a big fan of the lines and the style. The color, like I say, is the Petrol Blue, which I wish was a different color. That being said, the other problem that I find with it is that it feels very cheap. It's very plasticky. And yet it costs more than like a Sheaffer 100 or even a Pilot Metropolitan or any of those other Parker Jotters. Yet it's plastic. That kind of drives me nuts. But I will say that the Lamy Safari is one incredibly smooth riding pen. When I first got it, again, I was kind of thrown off by the looks because to me it is ugly. But man, this thing rides smooth. It is incredible how smooth riding it is. So in terms of function, this thing is awesome. It actually writes really, really, really well. So I was very impressed with that. Again, the looks don't do it for me, but if the looks aren't a problem for you, or maybe you're looking for something like this, appearance-wise, then you can be assured that the Lamy Safari is definitely going to be, frankly, one of the best, smoothest riders in this whole lineup. So I wouldn't knock it at all for that. It's just the looks, which is, again, opinion-based entirely. Now, the next pen that I want to show you... Oh, I forgot to do a size comparison. I'm sorry. So that's the Lamy Safari. This is the Parker Jotter and the Pilot Metropolitan. So you can see it's a normal size pen. It's not particularly huge, and because it is plastic, it is quite light. Now, the next pen that I want to show you is kind of the odd duck in here, but it's awesome. And that is the little Kaweco Sport. I absolutely love this little pen. It's a little German-made pen. It's a beautiful little pen. I think it actually has some pretty nice lines to it, but that's not where, the appearance is not where this particular pen shines. Where this particular pen shines is in the size category. So I consider the Parker Jotter to be one of the smallest pens that you'll find. And you'll notice that the little Kaweco Sport is even shorter than that. The little Kaweco Sport is actually, you can see in my hand how small this thing is. I use this pen as a pocket pen. And the reason I say that is, or what I mean by that is, I put it in my front pocket as a backup pen to other pens that I might carry at work. So other pens that I might carry at work are things like the Parker Jotter or the Sheaffer 100. I carry both of these to work actually all the time. And what's nice about it, even the VFM, what's nice about it though is that I can actually throw this in my pocket. If one of my pens that I'm carrying normally runs out of ink or something like that, then I have a backup pen that I can use that's frankly just as good as the others. A couple of things that make this an excellent backup pen, first of all, is it is small. It is very, very small. Secondly, it does thread on, which means that it's not going to have the cap come loose and end up spilling ink or leaving ink stains all in your pocket. That being said, though, for a pen of its size, it is an incredibly smooth rider. So I was kind of surprised by that. There is one little problem with this pen, though, and it's something that I noticed and that I figured out. So the little Kaweco Sport, as you can see, uses the short cartridges, the short ink cartridges. The problem is the pen is just long enough that allows vibration and being dropped or being even set down just a little too hard. It allows that short little cartridge to bounce out of the place where you put the ink cartridge in and rattle around inside the body here. That's a problem when you take the thing apart to clean it. It leaves ink everywhere. It just creates a mess. So if you're going to get one of these, which I do recommend these are awesome pens, I put a little bit of cotton back up in the back part of here. Not much at all, but just a little bit of cotton in the back part of the pen here. What that does is that provides just a little bit of pressure on the cartridge to make sure that it stays in place. Other than that tiny little problem though, this is a very small pen, very convenient pen, awesome little pocket pen that will serve you well for a long time.